What's going on, everybody? This is Stubbs here from Retro Handhelds, and today we're going to have two handhelds go head-to-head. We got the PowKiddy RGB20S, the new purple, versus the recent but tried-and-true R35S. These handhelds are nearly identical in every way, with some slight differences which we will discuss in today's video. The RGB20S was sent to me by LitNext, so let's hop in. R35S. Okay, let's take a look at this bad boy first. There's some storied history behind this handheld. Supposedly an ex-PowKiddy employee sort of absconded with the design of the RGB20S and made this. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but nevertheless, this did show up on AliExpress one day and I picked it up and I really thought it was a cool handheld. I'm like, man, this is like the RGB20S, but just slightly better for some reason. Sure, there's other options for around the $50 price point, such as the RG35XX, but you don't have the joysticks. You got clicky back buttons. Face buttons feel good. They're a little bit stiffer. Rubber membranes. D-pad is a bit stiff, but the buttons feel good to me, and I make use of the sticks more on this. I like the matte shell. This is transparent black. Nice, crisp, and bright. 1 gig of RAM, volume up and down, USB-C on bottom, and USB-C for power, headphone jack. 1 mono speaker in the front, 2 dual clickable L3R3 analog sticks, comes in black, white, blue, and orange, 640 by 480 IPS laminated screen, not touchscreen, 4:3 aspect ratio, no Wi-Fi on here. This is excellent for NES all the way up to PS1, plays a little bit of PSP, it plays some N64, some Dreamcast, some Sega Saturn. I mean, basically it's just a clone of the RGB20S at a cheaper price point. Buttons are loud, and it will work with Wi-Fi, however, if you plug in a dongle. Now, if we open up this PowKiddy RGB20S, ooh, we get stickers. 1 tiger sticker, a panda sticker, a bear sticker, and another tiger sticker. Look at that pretty purple color. So this is the same dimensions. So the back button is louder on the R35S. That's a little bit quieter. Face buttons are easier to press on the RGB20S. So these definitely are a little stiffer. Of course, both of these fail in the fact that these damn joysticks are up top instead of below, so it's hard to find a place to grip. You know, you're going to be gripping like this, and not using the sticks is probably as often with this sort of grip. Sticks are easy to reach. Definitely looser D-pad on here, looser face buttons. Feels good. Of course, you have the happy face over here, and here you have the upside-down triangle for the middle buttons. Those being function, start, and select. Let's choose a sticker. Tiger. I feel like we've done the tiger before. Bear. Bear might look good with that lavender purple. Panda. Now, Zoo did a video on this one recently, and he did the panda, but I think panda might look the best with it. I don't know, what do you think? Steady, steady. Yeah, this is the right choice. Sorry, panda, bear. RGB20S, 3500 milliamp hour battery. R35S, 3200 milliamp hour battery. So you do get a bit more battery life out of the RGB20S. If you've been around for a while, you may remember that I was a little distraught that there wasn't Wi-Fi included. Back then, they had a switch over here that said, toggle Wi-Fi on and off, so you'd think, all right, I'm going to toggle Wi-Fi on. Nope, that toggles Wi-Fi on if you had a dongle plugged in down here. So both of these are running ArkOS. Let's confirm if it's the same build. This is running ArkOS 2.0. Looks like from May 11th of 2023. Also running ArkOS 2.0, but it's running from April 23rd of 2022. So that's good to note. They're running on a much older build over here. Now this video, really, I'm not going to count it as a review so much as just a quick comparison. You know, you've seen this chipset, you've seen these handhelds, you've seen us talk about these handhelds, but it's been such a toss-up over which one to recommend. Often with the RGB20S coming in at around $20 more much of the time, unless it's on a sale. You know, it's quick for me to recommend the R35S, but I've never compared them side by side and sat down with them both together. So we're going to see if my opinions change here. And the face buttons, I mean, they are more springy on the RGB20S, where these are a bit more of a chore to push down. They are stiff. It's funny because I hadn't used an RGB20S in a long time, and then I got the R35S in the mail, and I started playing with it. I was really enjoying it. But now using it right next to, I do have to give it to the RGB20S. The face buttons are just looser, a little easier to press. You might get a little fatigue pressing on these. Shorter action. I don't hate it though. D-pad, stiff, a little looser over here. R35S clicks a bit louder, if you can hear that. RGB20S. R35S definitely has louder joysticks. And again, buttons on the back. I don't know that $20 will make that difference worthy to recommend this over this, but it's interesting, and it's something to note. It's like they changed just enough to not get sued. Okay, the problem with these being up here actually is that they do kind of get in the way. Look at this. So you're using your joysticks, then you have to put your thumbs in here to reach the start and select, and you're gonna bump against the joysticks when you do that. It's kind of a tight fit. Well, you know what? I was wrong. I've been talking up this handheld for a while now. I like it, and I like the painted face buttons here, and the translucent black shell, and the price point. But maybe it is worth that $20 to just go ahead, if you're going to pick between these two anyways, to go ahead and get this one because, again, Start and Select are in a better spot here. So yeah, Start and Select, giving it to the RGB20S, giving it to the RGB20S. Face buttons, giving it to the RGB20S. Joysticks, RGB20S. Back buttons, neither of these are ideal for ergonomics. It'd be nice if it was like kind of like better buttons from the RG35XX. If it was more like this style where it was sloped. But this is quieter. That is freaking loud. I gotta give it to the RGB20S. Screen, it is the exact same screen. Battery, bigger in the RGB20S, gotta give the battery life. RK3326, the chip is the same in both of these. This also has a mono speaker, but it is coming out at the top here, and you're not gonna bump over it. This is in the middle. Probably not gonna really bump over that to where you're gonna obscure the sound, but performance, this is on a newer build, so potentially there's more optimizations going on. You really shouldn't see a performance difference between the two. Let's play a few games. I wonder, hey, would you look at that? I'm going to jail. I've just made the R35S better. I mean, you can still kind of access the buttons up here. You just can't see them. Do you need to see them? I mean, come on. Okay, so we need to make cutouts for those. But, you know, no man's meant to play God. Always like the nice, bright IPS screen you get on this handheld. It's running well, but we can some graphical artifacts. R35S speaker. It's hard to say which is better. Definitely the R35S can get louder. I think the quality, I might give the slight upper hand to the R35S. Not only does it get louder, it seems a little bit cleaner to me. And then as far as screen quality goes, you know what? Are you seeing this? I got these both at 75% brightness, and it does appear like the screen is a little bit nicer contrast and crispness on the R35S. Tell you what though, battery just died on the R35S. Battery life is winning on the RGB20S. Both of them were pretty low. I've had these units for a while. Let's end with some PSP. So far I'm surprised. The RGB20S is winning for me. It does seem like the colors are contrasted, saturated a bit nicer on the R35S. Speaker is a bit louder, but I don't really know that that makes up for worse face buttons, worse buttons in general technically, and lack of sticker. PSP, Dreamcast, and N64 are going to be a little hit or miss. This is such a common chipset now. So many videos are out there on this chipset. There's really not much point in spending time showing off gameplay. Today's video is really about what are the differences between these two handhelds. So on the Litnix website, this is $95 for the purple version and $90 for the yellow and other colors. There's also white, blue, black for the 32 gig configuration, $90, and if you want the purple, they have the 16 gig and 64 gig. They also have a site-wide 15% off, which brings it down to $80. $80 compared to $50. So now we are talking a $30 difference between these handhelds if you're going to get this from Litnext anyways. And at that price, oh, that's tough. That's tough. This hits enough points and enough marks right that for the price, I feel it's really nice. Oh no. Well, on that embarrassing death note, I will close this out. Wrap this up. Well, what do you guys think? RGB20S, R35S. Differences between them, not a lot. Of course, button quality is going to be better on the RGB20S. Screen quality to me appears slightly better on the R35S, and the speaker I like just a little bit better. It gets louder. Everything else, I give it to the RGB20S. Face buttons, D-pad, the loudness of the joysticks, the loudness of the back buttons. On a newer software build. Comes with stickers that fit correctly. Of course, my monstrosity that I've done here, that's okay. Everything's better with the sticker. Of course, R35S coming in under $50. You can find it as cheap as $40. I've seen people buy it in the mid-30s. For what you get here is pretty awesome. At the end of the day, I'm surprised that I came out of this saying that the RGB20S I do like better. This is the better handheld. It is worth the little extra money. $30 difference in pricing. That's a tough toss-up. While this is still the better handheld, there is nothing wrong with getting the R35S. I really don't find the stiffness in the face buttons to be all that bad, and I have been enjoying this for some months now. Not until I picked up the RGB20S and I realized, oh wait, these buttons are better. So I was wrong. That happens sometimes. Both of these are on an outdated chipset, and there are other options out there for you around this price point. For instance, RGB30 is an awesome choice. If you're looking at other verticals, again, the 35XX without joysticks, of course, and the Miu Mini Plus. Both of these are awesome handhelds with top-notch software that's very easy to use, great battery life. If you're really into verticals and you want to spend a little extra money, you could, of course, get an analog pocket, or you could get something like the RG353V or VS. If you want something with a lot of power that plays PS2 and GameCube, however, you're going to want something like this. This is the RG405V from Anbernic, T618 chipset. It has my preferred layout in the back, or even you could pick up an older RG351V, which is like this, but not quite as chunky and thick. The same chip as the RGB20S, with one joystick, but down there. So neither of these have the best ergonomics. The RGB20S does pull ahead. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, the R36S is here. That changes a few things. For instance, they've now swapped the joystick to be on bottom, as well as some other quality of life improvements. So stay on the lookout for that. We do have that on the way. This has been Stubbs, and as always, take care of your handhelds, everybody, and take care of each other. Bye.